Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Charles. Today's the 5th of August 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts that we looked at this morning just to see how everything's getting along. But as always, before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD website, but specifically our JFD research page, where you can check out all our analysis that we do on a daily basis, and I believe you can find some of them useful for yourselves. So yep, feel free to check us out there, and I hope you find them interesting. Now then, let's jump into the charts. Okay, so the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. So the German index here continues to slide. Today, this morning, it opened with a gap to the downside again, and yep, you can see that now it fell lower, but it fell shy just a few points from reaching the low of June. So the lowest point of June here, near the 11,619. So or let me just quickly adjust this level. There we go. So that's around the 11,620. So approximately around there, guys. So it just fell shy of a few points from reaching that. It tested the 11,650 and then reversed back to the upside a little bit. The only thing is that the day is not finished yet. In a way, as you can see, it did try to push higher, but you can see that the buyers are failing to do that, and in a way there is still some time for this one to drag lower, especially if it drops below the 11,650. Keep your eyes on this lowest point of June near the 11,620, because that's going to be quite interesting, and to see if it actually holds. If it fails to hold, now this is where it could continue to look ugly for the German index, and as of course as many other indices as well. So it could in a way travel lower, test this 11,550 zone. Could be a nice good potential target here, or even we could consider further declines. But for now, let's keep it short and simple. For now, keep your eyes on the 11,650 zone today. If we see a drop below this, then this opens the path towards the lowest point of June, near the 11,620. But if that fails to withhold the 11,550, that's what we're looking at here as the next potential area of support. In terms of the upside here, well, I mean, with the upside, it's slightly difficult. For now, any upside could be still considered as a correction before another leg of selling, because as long as this index continues to trade below this downside line here, taken from the high of the 25th of July, we will kind of continue aiming to the downside. So in a way, for us, let's say, to get excited with in regards to the upside, for now at this point in time, we would need to see, of course, initially a break of this this downside line, but ideally also a push above this key area of previous support. Now it could become as a resistance, this 11,987, and of course the psychological 12,000 level. That's what we're going to be looking at. If we get a push above that, then we will consider a move a little bit higher here. Now, of course, keep your eyes on the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. This in a way could play out nicely, but slightly above that we do have this 12,246 zone, or in a way you could actually round it up here towards this little peak near the 12,254. So in a way, in other words, the 12,250 area, approximately around there, this is what we're going to be looking at if we see a push above this downside line and a push above this 11,987 initially, and of course the psychological 12,000, and then yep, like I said, we'll take it take it a little bit higher. But for now, any push higher before kind of breaking this downside line, any push higher will be considered as a correction before another leg of selling. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Jumping into another index very quickly, and that's the US one, and that's the Dow Jones. Now, I've looked at this one previously and last week basically, and what we're looking here, as you can see that last week the index managed to travel all the way here towards the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. It tested that area. It had a perfect test of the 26,248 zone, from which it rebounded and pushed back to the upside. But looking at the cash index right now, I mean, we will see a nice gap here, a nice opening gap here to the downside, because currently looking at the cash index, the Dow Jones is trading around the 26,125. So basically we are looking at a break and a drop below this key area of support near the 26,250. So in a way, for now, of course, it's quite difficult to find this good spot for a maybe a decent correction, because like I said, for now any small pullback to the upside is kind of quickly taken by the bears and by the sellers, and you can see that the index continues to drift lower. So for now, basically, long story short, because we'll have a nice good drop here below the 26,250 zone, the next target that we're aiming for is the 25,960, approximately there. Basically, it's near the lows of the 12th of June. Good potential area of support here. We'll see how it's going to perform around there. Of course, if it fails, then the next little target for us is going to be around here near the 25,717. But to be honest, looking at this picture here on the 4-hour chart, I mean, we understand it is quite oversold. In a way, we are looking for that a possible kind of, or looking for that level from which the index could correct to a little bit more, could correct a little bit higher here. But for now, everything, all the kind of bull attempts are getting crushed. So for now, what you could do here is maybe look at this level right here near the 26,696, or in a way you could round it up towards the 26,700. Basically, it previously acted as a good area of resistance and also support. So this time, if we see a push above this level here, in a way we could potentially maybe consider a slightly larger correction here to the upside, but still we'll be very careful, because well, I mean, there is a lot of negativity right now surrounding the markets. There's a risk-off environment right now, so that's why be very careful here. I mean, a push above this 26,700 level would also place the index above its 100 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So in a way, this could help the buyers a little bit, but still, again, like I said, be very careful with that buying, because like I said, for now, not everything is looking good here for the indices, and they continue to sell off. So for now, we're trying to find that good area of support from which it could retrace a little bit more than it actually does right now. So keep your eyes on this one. Ethereum, one of the cryptos. I mean, that's quite interesting right now here. You can see that it continues to trade above this little tentative upside support line here, taken from the low of the 16th of July, and it managed to push a little bit higher, managed to get closer to its 200 EMA, or in other words, actually managed to test its 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and also got held near the 235, 36, something like that zone here. So this is going to be a quite important one for us. If we see a nice good push above this, ideally we would like to see a daily close above this level here, because as you can see, currently it's acting as a strong area of resistance. But if we get a nice good push and we see the crypto staying above this level, then for us the next target is going to be around the 262 zone, approximately around there, which marks the low of the 11th of July. In terms of the downside, we're going to take a slightly more conservative approach and wait until we see a break of this upside support line and a drop below the 210 zone, approximately around there, and only then maybe consider, like I said, slightly lower areas, initially of course aiming for the psychological 200 level, but if that fails to withhold, then yep, slightly further declines are possible. So for now, like I said, it is closer to the upper side here. It is closer to this key area of resistance. If we get a nice pop above this, then consider in the next potential target as the 262 level. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. AUDJPY. So today it found some good support near the 71.38 zone. I mean, of course, as you can see, we had a sharp, steep sell-off here. And of course, on the shorter time frames, it looks quite oversold. So in a way, a bit of correction would be ideal for this pair. The only thing is that we're going to be very careful with that upside, because for now, yes, I mean, you can see that it is getting held by the S2. So in a way, if we see a push further up here, in a way, there is a possibility maybe to test the 72.20 zone from underneath this time, because it previously acted as a good area of support here back on the 2nd of August, on Friday basically. So in a way, like I said, there could be a possibility to see maybe more upside. The only thing is that be very careful, because it might not even travel to the 72.20. It might get a hold up somewhere around here near the today's S1, which is around the 72.07, and if it struggles to push above this, then we could see maybe another maybe leg of selling here, which could drive initially the pair towards the these recent lows, today's lows near the 71.30, but from there we'll take it, we'll have a look at that then, because to be honest, if this gets a break, the 71.38 zone gets a break, then well, this confirms a forthcoming lower low, and we could see this one traveling a little bit lower. Now also, what I wanted to kind of show you, just to keep in mind, is the fact that we are near the lows of this year. So and that's January. Let me just adjust this very quickly, guys. So now then, there we go. Okay, so roughly that is roughly here near the 70.45 zone, something like that, approximately there, guys. So in a way, if we see a drop below the 71.38, this increases the chances for a further move to the downside here, because like I said, this break would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and it could open the path towards the 70.46-45 zone, which is the lowest point of this year so far. Now then, in terms of the upside on this one, I mean, again, it's difficult, because if it travels a little bit higher here, still any kind of move higher is still seen as a correction, because we are still trading below this tentative downside line here, taken from the high of the 23rd of July. But from the short-term perspective, what you could look at here is maybe you could try to find a good potential area like this one, for example, the 72.63, and this kind of marks the low of the 1st of August. And if we see a push above this level here, above the 72.63, then in a way we could consider a larger correction, maybe up until this, up until we hit this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 23rd of July, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see what he wants to do. If he wants to reverse back down again, okay, that's good news for the bears, but if it wants to break this line, then well, I mean, we could see some higher levels getting met again, but for now, again, it's very difficult to talk about the upside unless it's a correction. So for now, like I said, yeah, we are maybe, we could be aiming for a little bit lower, higher here, near the 72.20. That's our first target, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. If it pushes further up, this is our little neutral territory, but if we get a push above the 72.63, this is where from the short-term perspective we will aim for higher levels. USDCHF, so this one actually also sold off, and well, continue, as you can see, it sold off sharply. It found good support near this near the low, the 28th of June, which is around the 0.9733, from which today it rebounded, and you can see that it's now trying to, the bulls are desperately trying to push this one higher. For us, of course, all this kind of still looks quite bearish, but what we're going to do here is now we're going to just take it very carefully, and if we see a drop below the 0.9733, this only then we will consider a further decline, because for now, like I said, it could correct to the upside, but to be honest, it would be difficult to find that area where it could stop and then sell off again. So that's why, just to be on the cautious side here, what you could do is just wait for a break below the 0.9733. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could aim for the 0.9692 zone, which is the lowest point of June. Now, this could be our initial good target here on the downside. We will take it from there, see what he wants to do after, but for now, like I said, we're going to keep it short and simple and aim only for this area, but only if we see a drop below the 0.9733. In terms of the upside here, well, I mean, if from the very short term perspective, I mean, what you could do here is keep an eye on the low of the 22nd of July, which is around the 0.9797. This way, if we get a push above this, in a way, we could see maybe a bit more correction here to the upside. Still, don't get me wrong, it is a tricky one. It's still vulnerable. So if you see a push above the 0.9797 zone, yep, we could continue aiming for slightly higher levels. The only thing is that probably try to get your stop loss as quick as possible, just in the break-even zone, just in case this, let's say, it doesn't travel higher and reverses and sells off again. So that's why, guys, be very careful here. And like I said, let me just quickly mark these two levels just for our future reference. So this is where we're going to be looking at from the short-term perspective for the upside, and for the downside, this is the level that we're going to be focused on, which is the low of today and also lowest point of the 28th of June. And yep, only then we'll consider further declines. GBPUSD, very quickly on this one. So as I've talked about this one this morning, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on some of these key levels, key potential breakout points. So on the upside, we do have the 1.217275 zone, approximately around there. So basically for now, keep your eyes on this one. If we see a good strong push above it, then yep, we'll consider the next potential target as being the 1.2250, which, as you can see, marks the high of the 31st of July. But if that fails to withhold, then, well, this could lead to a slightly larger correction, because overall we're still trading below this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 3rd of May. So in a way, any kind of move higher towards that line could be seen as a correction, because if this line continues to hold, then we could see another leg of selling here, driving the pair back down towards the 1.22 and or maybe 1.21 zone. So in that area, and like I said, we'll take it from there. But for now, from the short-term perspective, like I said, keep your eyes on these two levels. Initially, keep your eyes on the 1.2170, so sorry, 72, 75, something like that zone, and the next level is the 1.2250, which in a way a break of it could in a way confirm a larger correction to the upside. In terms of the downside, the 1.2080 still is on our radars. A drop below this could open the path towards the psychological 120 zone, so keep your eyes on that one. EURUSD, very quickly on this one. So this is playing out exactly as I've talked about it this morning. So EURUSD made a nice push higher, and this is what I was saying. So initially we will aim for the 1.1163-65 area, something like that, but slightly above that we do have this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 28th of June, so which also could in a way kind of hold the rate down. So for now, you can see that we did have a nice wonderful push, but now the bears are kind of kicking in here and trying to lead this one back down. Now, as long as this downside line remains intact, we will continue aiming to the downside. But if this line gets broken, if we see a strong push above the 1.1190, and also just for that maybe better like additional confirmation, a push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, then we will aim for higher areas. But like I said, for now it seems that the bulls enjoyed their run this morning and today, but now the bears are kind of kicking in and trying to push this one back down. Let's see if they succeed. If the rate, let's say, drops below the 1.1163 zone, then, well, I mean, this could be seen as a nice correction. All this move could be seen as a nice correction, and we could in a way see a move back down, maybe towards the 1.1120, 22, something like that zone. But in a way, in order for us, let's say, to get comfortable with slightly lower areas, ideally a push above, below the 1.11 zone could do the trick for the bears here, and we could see more of them jumping in and pushing the pair towards the 1.1025 zone or 23, something like that here, which is the last week's low, or even going further towards the psychological 120 level. But again, for now, in terms of the downside, keep your eyes on the on this level right here today, the 1.1163. Of course, keep your eyes on this downside line, and let's see how this, if it continues to hold, then we could see maybe a move back down here, maybe like I said, going back towards the 1.1122 and something like that. But if this downside line gets broken and we see a climb above the 1.1190 and the 200 EMA here in the 4-hour chart, then we will consider slightly higher levels here. So guys, so be very careful with this one right now. Like I said, it did have a good run, but let's see how it plays out near those levels. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Traders Espresso, as always, 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.